So, coming up live on LiveWire, we got a great show for you today. I'm Ray Tatter, and on our set today, we're going to be talking about an interesting idea that seems to be floating out through the arts in the United States, that the theaters should start doing plays again. And they are. And Sacramento is just about to be brimming with new plays, and you should go and see them. One of the theater companies is called Eagle and Rose Theater Company. And Eagle and Rose does a lot of classical work, and they're going to do a wonderful show, a new version of Euripides' Medea. So stay tuned for LiveWire right after this. Yes, I'm Ray Tatter. And with me here in the studio is Stephen Crane, who is the director and co-producer of the Eagle and Rose Theater Company. Is that correct?
That is.
Cool. And one of his actors, Mr. Coulter Gray, who is going to be starring in your next show.
Yes.
And that show is called
Medea.
Medea by Euripides.
Yes.
Okay. This is a classic play written in about 4th century before Christ.
Exactly. It's about 2,500 years old.
Whoopie doopie, that's so old a play. And why do you think that play is, why would still people do those plays from the Greek times? I don't know, you know.
I find that the relevance is tremendous. I mean, I don't think they've ever become irrelevant, and that is because they deal with human truths. And it's not a coincidence that a number of phrases from Greek mythology are used in modern psychology. And the plays deal with human conflict, and that doesn't really go away or grow old. And we were looking for a particular area of conflict, I suppose, of disagreement, and Medea was the play that appealed to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good. And you, sir, I asked you before the show if you had been in any classic plays, and you answered yes.
Yeah.
Good. So I can see why you were drawn to being in the play.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And Jason is a pretty sweet boy.
No, definitely not.
Tell me about him.
Well, after him and his wife that he found while searching for a thing that could get him his birthright, a golden fleece, he went back to his homeland and immediately decided to go off and marry another woman to try and have royal children.
Aha. Okay. So he and the other woman, she takes some kind of revenge. We should get to that. We'll get to that. That's at the end of the play, right?
Yes.
So this play has an arc to it, and it ends not well.
No.
In fact, a little bloody.
Maybe.
Okay. Good. You know about advertising theater. Don't tell them all of it.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's fascinating. So I've got this book out of the hands of the producer before the show, and this is the book that you are using the translation of.
Yes, it's a modern translation by a Scottish poet, Robin Robertson. And I looked at a couple of different translations. This one appealed to me most. It's a very modern translation in some ways, and yet it is very true to the original language of the play. I think the only thing the playwright does to alter it is I think he finds a rhythm in the words and restores meter, which there would have been in the original. Most modern English translations ignore that. And I think when a playwright writes in meter, he has a goal, and he uses his words as a tool, or she uses her words as a tool, to give power to certain words, to give power to words in general. And I think the poet in this case does that very skillfully. He uses words in translation that convey my sense of the true meaning of the story. And I think some of the subtleties of Euripides' story that sometimes aren't 100% clear.
Yeah. Well, I do know, my brother studied Greek, and he used to come home and lambast me with it. And he said, and I once asked him about, well, what's a translation of a hard word? And he goes, well, there's a word called anake, and it takes about 10 words to describe it. So if you used it in a sentence, you have to know what it means. Otherwise, the sentence, you have to stop and say, hey, what are you talking about? At any rate, so the Greek is a very, very interesting language. And I see my newfound bride, blah, blah, blah. And they talk about a guy named Zeus and all of that.
Yes, the Greek gods are active actors in the play. They're never on stage for the most part. But in this play, two of the gods are part of this, a very important part of the story. Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love, was particularly fond of Jason, Coulter's character, and helped him in his quest for the Golden Fleece, which was the tool with which he could regain his birthright that had been stolen by his uncle. She definitely helped him. He went on this great voyage with his comrades, the Argonauts, on their ship, the Argo, and she helped negotiate with the other gods, such as Poseidon, the god of the sea. And then when they arrived in Colchis, which is where the Golden Fleece was hidden.
Is that one of the 10,000 islands around Greece?
Yes, actually it's in the Black Sea.
I see.
And there's references to that, the courage that it took to pass through the Black Sea and to come out the Hellespont. And apparently Jason was the first Greek to pass through the Hellespont and opened it forever by way of his wife Medea. Medea is the granddaughter of the sun god, Helios, or he's also called Hyperion.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually a Titan as opposed to one of the more conventional Greek gods. But she was
That's
his...
a kind of level of godhood, right?
You know, I don't know so much that it's a level, but it's a different clan. And the Titans and the classic Hellenic gods were frequently at odds. Helios would have been the brother of Prometheus, who gave fire to man, and in doing so disobeyed Zeus, and of course spent eternity being punished, as did his brother Atlas. So there was conflict there, decidedly.
Yeah.
But there was also interaction. At times it wasn't conflict. At times they got along. But Medea is definitely the granddaughter of Hyperion or Helios. And there's the suggestion that she has powers beyond those of a conventional mortal. Her aunt, by the way, is Circe, the famous witch from the Odyssey.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
that's amazing. This fierce character, you get into. He's, I guess, he's driven by his own will to regain something that was stolen, and he's willing to go all out, I suppose, to get it. But he doesn't count on the character of his wife, Medea.
Yeah, she is not what he was expecting, definitely.
Well, and he pays for it.
Yeah.
And his children paid for it. I think he knows his children have been murdered. He's the one that sees them, right? Yeah, I remember that part of the play. Yeah. Amazing stuff. So you're really challenged to find emotions that most actors, are never challenged to do. A lot of actors play certain types that they're good at, and maybe they're modern characters and all the like. But these are Greek characters are huge.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the power of men in the society to make and remake the world as they choose to. I think one of the interesting things that happens with Coulter's character is that he hears that his future father-in-law, Creon, is banishing Medea and the boys. And he really, I don't think your character really reacts to the boys being banished particularly. So, yeah. It's interesting because he then, you have those lines where you think your children are staying and you talk about your vision for them. Do you remember those lines?
Part of them, it's I can't remember the exact wording, but he's talking about how he can't wait to see them grow up and be strong and ready to trample his enemies. But for now, they can't be there. They have to go get that strong.
But his relationship with the boys is him looking for them to serve his ends.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. And I don't think that's, I think that's quite representative of Greek men's attitudes towards their children. You know, we see that really carried over up through the Victorian age. You know, I always think of Winston Churchill and his father.
Yeah.
And, you know, his father saw him perhaps once a week. And, you know, my favorite line of Winston Churchill's was when his father signed him up for the Army Academy, Winston assumed that his father detected some great military brilliance, and no, it turned out that his father decided he was too stupid to become a lawyer. And I think there is a cold-bloodedness from traditional fathers towards their sons, that the son is a tool to serve the father's needs.
Yeah, yeah, and the father runs the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm running the show, so I've got to tell you, we have to take a short break. And thank you, sir, for serving, and I wish you well on stage, and I will be there
Thank you.
listening. All right. Okay, yes, we are going to take a short break, and we'll be back in just a minute after some important messages. And we'll be back, and we're going to meet Riley Nicole, who plays Medea.
Brandon met a girl on a dating app. He finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving.
She must be a keeper.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
We're back now. I'm Ray Tatter, and we're back with the director of the Eagle and the Rose Theater, and also Riley Nicole, and they are both involved in a production of Medea by Euripides, a wonderful playwright who wrote many of the great Greek dramas that we have from centuries and centuries past. I liked your answer to my first question, which was, why do we still do Greek dramas? Because they do speak of truths in the human soul that are kind of unchanging.
Yeah.
And so let me ask a question. You've been in a number of plays of Mr. Crane's, and do you like the classic ones, or do you like the modern reality ones?
I'm a fan of the classic ones. I think that they're more difficult as an actor to do, but I think that they're more fun also.
Yeah, a lot of actors they don't choose they don't like to really choose to challenge their instrument to be able to find a new way of saying a word, or an emotion that comes out twisted in a word somehow. So we have almost two acting styles in America now. We have the actors who can just play themselves, and the rhythm of their voice is the rhythm that they were born with, And then those who have studied a classical approach to language. And I think that that's what the Eagle and the Rose folks try to approach. That's the fun part, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I get that. I get it. But you don't do the rolling of the R's and the old style of the drama. I have a book that shows classical gestures, truth speaking. No, really, it shows, and it shows you how to do it. Actually, they're around 1900 or 1910, something like that. They had a number of acting styles that were based on gestural patterns. You had to learn how to use pleading, and I find that all very fascinating. And then words too at that time too. Rolling of R's came at a certain level of anger or fear, So, but you're not doing it that way.
No, I have a very strong belief that when we choose to do an author's play, we owe that author something, and that is to be true to his words. We don't necessarily know how that author would have envisioned the scene, but we do know the words that he gave us, and we have a responsibility to be true to the author's intent as much as possible. I've seen some productions of Shakespeare where the director has found a meaning and then forced the play into that meaning. And I don't think that works. I think it's disrespectful. Mm-hmm. And I feel we owe the author, even Euripides, who's not been around for 2,400 years, I think we still owe him respect for his words and his intentions. If you don't want to respect the words and the intentions, then you should choose a different play. And there are a lot of wonderful plays out there. But I think exploring a play like Medea, and Euripides was doing some things with Medea that are almost shocking from a modern perspective. I mean, not that they're, oh my gosh, he's doing that, but we don't think of a 2,500-year-old Greek as really understanding that women make history, which is a line from the play, and that a woman can be smart and strong, and that being strong and smart can be incredibly threatening to people. That's actually what gets Medea and her children banished from Corinth, is not that she has done anything, but just that she's, I can't remember Creon's exact words, but he calls you clever, I think. Yes. Yeah. And that frightens him. He doesn't like clever women.
Cleon is.
Oh, Creon is the father of Jason's new bride.
That's right. That's all, and he has a word in the say in the marriage.
Yes. Well, Jason have arranged it, and Crusa is his daughter, and she's pleased with it. And Crusa actually, in the play, does not appear on stage. We're going to have Crusa appear for her death scene, which is wordless. I mean, it's being described by a messenger, but we're certainly not going to give her any words.
Right. But the messenger will.
The messenger has plenty of words. Yes.
Could you give us a few words in a couple of minutes from the show?
Yes.
Oh, cool. All right, I like that. So this is a kind of a new version of it, correct? Is it like strikingly new, or what's the guiding element of why you did this version?
Because it's strikingly true. It is very true to Euripides, and yet the poet, the translator, is a poet, and he uses his skill as a poet to restore meter to the words and to emphasize certain meanings. I think it makes for a very powerful play.
Can you introduce Riley to do this scene and tell me a little bit about it?
Yes, it's my great pleasure to introduce Miss Riley Nicole, and she is our star in Medea. The scene that she's going to perform is right after her meeting with Creon, and isn't it?
It's my opening.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
She knows better than I do.
Okay.
But she has found out about her husband's plan to betray her and abandon her and to marry this young woman, Crusa, for his own advantage, and turn away from her sudden. And it's very sudden, and really without any explanation.
That's right. That I recall that. So here it is, Riley Nicole in Medea.
Women of Corinth, I have come here today to show you who I am. I will not be judged by anyone as proud.
I can help you. What page?
I can find it.
You're just in rehearsal, right? Yeah. Oh, it's okay. It can happen to anybody, especially on television. Here, we're going to do it.
Sorry, this is a little impromptu.
Let's go a little improv. Okay, here we go. Take it again. Take two. Camera rolling.
Women of Corinth, I have come out here to show you who I am. I will not be judged by anyone as proud. I know many who are vain, it's true, indoors or out. But there are others that hide themselves away, and then people say they emulate the gods. Whether you retire in private or go out in public, you get a reputation either way. There is no justice in the eyes of men. They judge by what they see, not by what they know. It's hardest for foreigners like me to be accepted, always working, always trying to fit in. So I have no time for those who think themselves above the others, or this blow, when it came from nowhere, knocking me down, crushing my faith in all that's good and kind. I am lost and foundering. All the joy has gone from my life, and I see no reason now to carry on. My husband, my companion, the man I thought I knew so well, in whom I'd invested everything, has revealed himself to be the most contemptible of men. Of all living sentient creatures, women are the most unfortunate. We must save and save to raise a dowry. And then the man that agrees to marry us becomes master of our bodies, a second burden greater than the first. Loss and insult. That is all we have. But if we divorce, we are seen as somehow soiled, as damaged goods. Innocents and strangers, we enter our husbands' houses with all these new laws and customs to deal with. We must use our intuition to figure out how to best please our man. If we do well in all our duties and make sure he never thinks he's being trapped in the marriage, everything is fine. If not, it's death in life. When a man is bored with what he has at home, he goes elsewhere, finds someone else to amuse him. The woman must wait, for she is allowed to look at one face only, his. Men tell us that we are lucky to live safe at home while they take up their spears and go to war. Well, that's a lie. I'd sooner stand behind a shield 3 times in battle than give birth once. I am alone in Corinth, an outsider in a strange city far from my family, my only company a husband who took me as plunder from some foreign campaign and now dishonors me. I have no mother, no brother, no kin to turn to shelter me from shame. So I shall ask this one favor from you. If I can think of any way, any plan to make my husband pay for all of this hurt, will you keep my secret? A woman is too timid, too weak, they say, for war. Would faint at the sight of battle steel. But when she is injured in love, when her bed has been defiled, she'll have your blood.
Riley, thank you. Bravo. So we only have how many seconds to go? Well, this is almost the end of the show, so we have to do what we always do, which is say what, where, when, how.
The play is Medea by the Greek playwright Euripides, being produced by the Eagle and Rose Theater Company of Elk Grove and Sacramento. We're running 2 weekends of performances at the Threepenny Theater at the California Stage, August 13th, 14th, 20th, and 21st, with a curtain call at 7 o'clock. Seating is very limited, and you can either go to our Facebook page and get in touch with us there, or can I mention our text number?
Yes, sir.
If you want to make a reservation, text 541-556-2661.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Riley. Thank you, Coulter. And we'll see you at the theater. That's all we got. We'll see you next week in a brand new show. Bye. We'll see you at Medea.